Alright, I'm going to make a real quick video here. And basically I fixed this portion of the rim. It had rock rash on it. And I showed in a couple videos how to prep it and how to prime it, mask it, so on and so forth. So now we're going to get down to the spraying part. So basically, since it's been primed and I finished it in 500, then I'm going to go straight to base coat, and I'm not going to put what they call a primer sealer over it. You could, but it's really, at this point, it's unnecessary, and I really don't want to, because the fact that I don't want to get, this is masked with foam, and I don't want to get the sealer past the base. Although there's ways to manipulate it. I can manipulate this foam a little bit and make it happen, but needless to say, since it's primer, it's a catalyzed primer, I don't need to. So basically, one thing I'm going to do is, and you can do this before you actually mask it with the foam, because I have it hard lined behind the foam. So if you look right there, it's hard lined to there. So basically, I could actually wipe it down with wax and grease before I put the foam on, but I'm just going to run over it real quick. The wheel's super clean. I've cleaned it multiple times. Here's the wax and grease remover I'm using. It's made by Hi-Tech, and basically you want to use a waterborne cleaner, and this is a solvent-borne cleaner or a wax and grease remover. So it's important to use both. I use 50-50 rubbing alcohol with water, 70% rubbing alcohol, or you can use 91. But that's your waterborne cleaner, and it's important that you wipe it down with both products, because neither product will remove the other product. So for example, a waterborne primer or waterborne cleaner will not remove a solvent-based product, like say a wax. A waterborne remover wouldn't clean wax and grease, and vice versa. So wax and grease remover won't take off a waterborne contaminant. So really, truly, to do a nice job, you want to use a waterborne cleaner. You also want to use a degreaser or a wax and grease remover. So I have it in a pump bottle. These are Sikkens pump bottles. They're, well, I guess it's a USC Bond-Tite handy sprayer. These are real cool. I'll pump it up a little bit, and then I'm going to use a towel here. So I'll spray a little bit on the towel. I don't spray it around the wheel because I don't want the wax and grease remover to get kind of stuck in between the edge of the tire. So just real quick, I'm just going to hit the lip. Like I said, I'm pretty confident in how clean it is anyways, but this is just some insurance that, you know, you're getting the surface as clean as you can. It's already sanded and scuffed, but now it has to be 100% clean. So I'll make sure I do a nice job cleaning it, kind of tucking it in between the tire and the wheel lip. Okay. And you're supposed to technically dry that wax and grease remover. So I'm going to take a little bit of light air to it. Just kind of basically give it a slight blow. Blow the surrounding areas off a little bit. Obviously on something like this, I'm not going to want to use a tack rag. I guess you could, but I don't see any reason for it. So moving forward, I'm going to use a Soda Jet. This is a 3000B Mini. Have a cheater gauge on it. So 1.0 is the tip size. Common tip sizes for the Soda Minis are a 0.8, a 1.0, and a 1.2. They also have what they call an SR or spot repair, so it puts out a little bit more material, I believe. So the product today we're going to be using for base coat will be Lesinol. And Lesinol is basically right here. Lesinol. It's made by so it's housed under AkzoNobel. So basically Wanda, Lesinol, and Sikkens. They're all housed under AkzoNobel. Great products. This is what they call a 2-to-1 base coat, meaning 2 parts base coat, 1 part reducer. You can tweak it a little bit, put a little more reducer, a little less, but you know, a lot of them are 1-to-1. This is a 2-to-1 product. This is also a solvent-based product. So moving forward, I've already kind of stirred this up, but I'm gonna stir it up a little more just to make sure. It's really important. You know, you can throw this stuff on a shaker, but it's already reduced and basically ready to spray. I have a fast reducer in here because it's kind of cooler. I do have a heater in my garage, so that helps. I'm just using just a little bit of base coat. So what we'll do is we'll basically spot the area in here. We're going to get coverage, and technically they say base coat, you want to use 3 to 5 minutes in between each coat of flash time. So one tip is, if you have a large stick like this in your pint can, move it to the side because it's easier to tip over. So I'll put my strainer in the paint can, put my cap on it. Like I said, so 3 to 5 minutes in between each coat of base. I'll probably speed it up a little bit, especially since we're going straight to primer. It'll flash a little faster, and then I can extend the flash time before I clear coat it, just so I can speed up the video. I'm not quite in the phase of editing my videos yet, but it's coming soon. So basically how I run this gun is this right here is your fan control, and SATA recommends that you run everything wide open, so all the way counterclockwise, and then your fluid tip is all the way wide open. To find wide open, you just pull the trigger, and then all the way and back this controls your fluid level. Back this knob all the way out, and basically when you can pull the trigger to the handle body, that's wide open, and then I screw this in until I feel resistance on the trigger, and that's wide open. I run the fan wide open on this. I'm not a fan of running literally the fan. I'm not a fan of running the fan wide open on a bigger gun. I'll choke it up just a hair, but you know, basically it's there, and you know, you find out what works for you. But I do know that SATA says wide open on the fan, wide open on the fluid. So I do have a SATA cheater gauge. These aren't very cheap, but that way I can kind of control the air pressure. Plus, I like to know, I'm a pretty particular person, I like to know what my air pressure is set at. So if I ever need to duplicate anything, if I painted a fender at 70 degrees and you know, I wanted to duplicate, say something happened, the fender got smashed, and I want to paint another fender, I know that if I sprayed it at 20 psi or 25 psi, for example, then I can duplicate it. So that's the reason for that. But if you get good at painting, after you've been painting for a while, you'll basically adjust it by ear. So here we go. I have a, basically it's like a Prevost fitting, so I'll just plug it in. I'll kind of, you want to basically check your fan a little bit, just make sure that it's, you know, spraying fine. I'll turn my air down a little bit. So I'm just going to basically get coverage. So I'm going to basically, this is the primer from here to here. So I'm basically, I'm going to start with the back side, and I'm going to kind of feather my paint in a little bit. I don't want to put too much on there. But there you go. And it covers super fast. I could have blended my color here and just basically blended my color here and maybe down here. But it's easier just to base the whole wheel. A, you don't have to blend it and blend multi-step your clear and blender and whatnot. And B, you know, you can just basically spray the whole wheel all at once. And if there's a color variation, it's harder to pick out if the whole lip all the way around was covered versus if you blended it, if the color's a little off. I mean, I know it's being hypercritical, but that's my thought process behind it. So I'll spray a little bit of air on it just to kind of help speed it up. They actually tell you you're not supposed to do this, but I don't think it's ever a bad idea on your base coat. You do definitely want to, what they say is 3 to 5 minutes between each coat of base, and 15 minutes before you clear coat it is the flash times, and all the flash times are based on 70 degrees. So if it's 80, you know, you could go a little bit quicker. I'm going to go a little bit quicker in this video just for the video purposes. A, because I'm going direct to primer and it seems to flash way faster, and B, because I want to speed up the video, and then I can extend the flash time before I clear it to 30 minutes, and then it'll be plenty dry by then. So yeah, so basically your first coat, you're just looking to kind of get coverage. Most of the time they say you want to use 3 coats depending on coverage. So you can kind of check your coverage too against the edge of the tape. You'll kind of see whether it's covered or not. If it covers the tape, then it should be covered. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. You can feel the tape. You don't want to obviously touch the rim, but you can feel the tape, and that's nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and just basically blend it out a little. So I'm kind of concentrating on hitting the back side here as well as the lip. When I think I pretty much have it ready to go, I'll remove this foam a little bit and just make sure my line's pretty good. So the line with my base coat here. So I can tuck this back just a hair. See, there's a little bit of primer showing there too. So I can tuck that back just a hair, and I'm gonna spray a little bit of color right there. Had a little bit of primer that went in the wheel, so that's one advantage of using this foam, and then it's back masking, or hard lining behind it. So I'm using real low air pressure with this. The air pressure's maybe 15 psi, but the other thing too, I could go a little faster, is mainly because this is it's a small mini jet is what they call it. It's not a mini jet, so it puts the paint on finer, and the finer it puts it on, the faster it's going to spray. The faster it's going to dry. So that it'll speed up your flash times a little bit because it's putting on such a fine finish. So now normally you want to wear a respirator, and obviously one thing they don't probably tell you is you want to shave your face. That way the respirator seals. I'm just kind of pressing this foam on down a little bit. That way it'll stick. Sometimes this has a tendency to kind of peel back a little bit. So I got a headlight on, which helps. I can actually see pretty well. I could bring a flashlight too to make sure I have coverage. But it's looking pretty good, so I'm going to kind of go with my next coat. And then I'm going to basically just give the face of the wheel a little bit of color. That way, if there's any sort of variation, you won't see it. So, kind of a little trick, I guess. That way, Autobody's all about tricking the eye when you're blending your color. That's one thing I was always told. You want to try. Autobody is nothing but an optical illusion. So I'll turn my gun up a little bit, and I'm going to give it one more quick light coat. And I'm just at this point, I'm just mainly using air. And so a lot of what they say, and everybody's different, but so one thing I'll go over while we're letting this flash is, so if I turn this down, and basically when you depress the trigger like that, when you go to the first click, that's nothing but air. And then as you start, I'll show you, as you start to pull the trigger in, out comes fluid, see? So basically what they tell you is when you're painting, you want to basically get to the point of where you just depress the trigger till it's air, and then keep the air on as you're painting back and forth. So you're depress the trigger to the air position, and then you start pulling the trigger, but when you release the trigger, you want to go back to the air position. You don't want to shut it on and off like that. So it's more like this, full paint, but and then just keep going back and forth. So you're always constantly, when you depress the trigger, you want to come back to the air position. So hopefully that's a good explanation. Everybody's different. You can paint however you want. That's the beauty of it. We all do it different, and whatever results or whatever gets you the best results, that's the best way to paint. So this is how I do it. So at any rate, I'll give it a little more air here, and it's like I said, it's flashing super fast. You can see how well it's covered here, and you can see it's just a light coat there. It's not even, it's still transparent here, but it's just basically, I want to turn the fresh color. Basically, I want to turn the old color into the fresh color. So I'm going to give it one more quick coat. I'll hit the back side, make sure I got good coverage. I'll back up. Make sure the color basically is all uniform. I'll give it a quick one. And that's it. So it's base coated. That to me is ready for clear coat. So Anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll see you in the next one, which basically I'll show you guys how to clear coat it. So we'll see you soon.